Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on the time, wherever you are. This is your African auntie in Diaspora, welcoming you warmly again. As I said, I'm always bringing my lived experience, so my lived library with me. And I had a talk with a few adolescents and also the parents. And I found out that the most challenging thing in this stage for the adolescents are number one, the culture. And when we talk about the culture, which is a challenge to many adolescents, it's not about the culture that they are born in. It's the culture of their parents, which is a challenge. Many believe that their parents have got a culture which they do not understand, and they are being forced, or this culture is being enforced on them, although they have a little or very little knowledge about this culture. The period of adolescence, it is that the parents normally have conflict with these children, or the children have got conflicts with the parents because both the cultures are not compatible. So you find that the way the children in puberty understands the culture in which they're born in, but at the same time, this culture is not the culture of the parents. So we have in a family, we have children growing up with their own culture, which of course they blend it with the culture of the parents, but not 100%. The next challenge which many children in adolescence in diaspora or in the Western world have is loneliness is another problem. Because at this stage of adolescence, normally in the Western world, there is a division of children in different directions. That is when they are going to school. The concepts are so that some schools take the quick learner, some schools take the middle learner and the slow learner, like in case in the German system, whereby the children who are quick learner, they go to what we call gymnasium. And gymnasium is like in some countries, I think like in the UK, they call it grammar school, if I'm not wrong. You believe that your child is in class 10 with other children, but in this class 10, you find that some children are doing simple materials. They will be doing mathematics, for example, and this mathematics, the quick learner will be doing hard questions. The middle ones, they get what is relevant to their ability, and the slowest learner, they get also what is relevant to their ability. The problem with this system is that majority of the parents don't know. They believe that their children are learning the same materials in a class with the same children, but this is the biggest challenge also for the parents. So but that one we can cover it when we probably, if there is a need of doing the educational system in different countries, then we can tackle that. Another challenge which is worth talking about is racism. There's a lot of racism in the Western world, and children in or the adolescents, they really suffer inside them with these problems in schools, especially if the majority of the children are whites and there are maybe one or two black children. They report a lot of racism in the schools, and in most cases the teachers don't really take racism so serious. We have a lot of reports, and we have worked with a lot of children, especially in Germany, and the report is the same, that the teachers are not sensitive to this topic, and most teachers, either they say that the child is so sensitive or the parents are so sensitive, and most parents also really don't tackle it when it comes, because it's a very sensitive topic for many parents, and especially for the teachers. I've dealt with a lot of teachers who were not really sensitive, and they deny or they cover it up and say the child is very sensitive, so, or the parents are very sensitive, or and from my experience and from the experience of many colleagues I have exchanged this topic with, it is always the same story, and I can say it without any fear here, that it's believed that the black children or the African children are aggressive. So they are aggressive. That is a belief, and that's a prejudice which is there. And in most cases, even if the other children offend them, then it comes out in most cases that they are aggressive. But actually, nobody knows how the fight between the children normally starts, especially in the schools. But we always get the report, this is the one they use, that they are aggressive. But this is all about the challenges of these children that they have reported. A lot of them have reported to us, and when I exchange with other colleagues also in other countries, they tell me the same thing. The black children in adolescence or the African children in adolescence have got no platform where they can meet and exchange with other children or with their age group, because this is a time or a period whereby they need to have a platform where they can discuss with other children in puberty, exchange about their whatever they want to exchange. And that is so important for many children. The other children who are the nationals here, they don't have that problem because they have a maybe big family, they have aunties, they have uncles, they have the whole village with them, whereby these children are very alone. Another challenge that many of them also report is that the parents don't have time for them, that the parents are always working, and when they are at home, then they're tired, they're sleeping, or they just don't want to be bothered. And this also leads to another problem of spending so much time in the social media or internet, social media, and there are some of them who also report bullying in the social media, and this is a challenge for many of them because they don't know how to deal with all these challenges they have, and at the same time get somebody to trust and to talk to about. And in most cases we get through these adolescents or these children in puberty when there is an alarm from somewhere. Maybe the school has reported, or they themselves, they are not getting along with the parents and have gone to the authorities to report their parents. Those are the challenges of the adolescents in many countries. I exchanged with another colleague in Australia, and she told me the same thing, especially in Melbourne and Adelaide. I exchanged with some colleagues who are also working in these cities, and they told me that it's very, very difficult, especially Melbourne has got a lot of problems with African children in adolescent and they are trying to, but there is no platform for them, just the same as in any Western country. Children born in those countries, of course, they're on paper they are nationals, but the cultural conflict between them and their parents is the same all over, and also that they are not included in so many things. One thing I must stress on is the institutional racism, which also doesn't really support them that much the way they support the nationals in those countries, or the pure nationals, I would say, who have got no migration background. What are the challenges facing the parents themselves when their children are in puberty or in adolescence? Culture is one of them. Just like their children, their parents are also finding the culture very difficult, but it's not the same as the difficulty that the adolescents are finding. Theirs is double. The parents are finding that the culture in which they are raising up their children is the problem, or is difficult for them to understand, whereby the adolescents are finding it that the parents are not understanding them, but they have no problem with the culture they are growing in. So the conflict, actually, the parents believe that it is the culture or the system they're raising their children up is the problem, whereas the children believes that the system they're growing in makes them to think differently, and this is not seen positive by the parents. So the parents are really aware of this different culture. The children are not aware of this different, that the culture is different, because the adolescents grew up in this culture and they are thinking in this culture, and that is the conflict. The parents are thinking in one culture which they know. So let me just put it like this. We all know that parenting is given from generation to generation. That means what I know is what I can give my child. What I don't know, I cannot give my child. So the problem that we have is that what the parents know is what they're giving, but the children know something else. And what we are forgetting is that these children, they can only understand the culture of the country in which they're growing up, because from kindergarten, they are in the hands, or they are being taken care of this culture. So kindergarten, the teachers teaching them are from the mainstream of the culture they are born in. Then they go to school, is the teachers are from the mainstream of the culture they're born in. Then they go to secondary school, they go to universities, the same. So the time that the parents spend with these children is really, really little. And that brings us to our next challenge of the parents is the time. But because the time is not there to spend with the children, then in adolescence, it's really very obvious, or it is seen because the conflicts now are getting more, or they get difficult to solve. So then that's the period that the parents realizes that the children are difficult, but actually the conflict comes in because the time is not enough, or they didn't spend enough time with them. So the problem we have in the puberty time or in the adolescence is that when the relationship was not built before, then this period becomes really hard. You remember in my the first part of this topic, I said that you cannot do parenting in puberty. That's what I meant, because in adolescence, they need to discuss. They want the trust. The relationship is built. And if the relationship is there, then it's possible to discuss and agree and disagree. But if this relationship was not built before, then in puberty, it's very difficult to manage them. So the next challenge for the parents is the law. In the Western world, or in diaspora in many countries, where the African parents raise up their children, there are laws governing the parenting, and these laws are taken seriously. And you remember in when I did the topic, how do you discipline a child in diaspora? So the problem is that many parents reported to us or tell me that they were never raised up with these laws. And the challenges are that the children, they know their rights. So when they reach puberty, then there's nothing that a parent can threaten them with, because they know better than the parents. They know the law, they know their rights, and they will report you to the authorities if you try to threaten them with some things which they don't want to do. So the problem I experienced with some parents is that they use force, and they use the African style of trying to threaten. And this doesn't work in puberty. It doesn't work with any child, even the small ones. But with adolescents, you can forget it, because you're never gonna threaten them with anything that is going to ring a bell to work with them. At this age, it's really communication with them. And one thing also I want to stress on is the psychological aspect of the adolescent. They have a lot of challenges with them, especially our adolescents in diaspora. They had to fight with friendship because they normally don't get friends who accept them unless they are in a group whereby they a community somewhere or a church, or they're in clubs, on sport activities, so that's where they find maybe people they can interact with. But if they're not doing anything, then most of them don't have friends unless they have siblings. Those are the best friends. They have a lot to also fight for, or a lot to think about, to worry about, and the time is very difficult for them. And most of them also don't have mentors, or they don't have big families, or they don't have aunties, they don't have uncles, they don't have that big family or that village which is there for them. So you have to really remember that they also have other worries, other psychological fights within themselves. And also parents are struggling, and they also worry because they want to have an easy life, like maybe like the children they see or they share school or they go to school with, but it's not so easy for them too. Of course, there are some children who are privileged, let me say, who are privileged, but I don't think there are many. Majority of the African children living in diaspora are not so privileged. The parents have to work extremely hard to give them, that life they wish for their children. And it has got a price, and the price is the time to spend with these children. So when the time is not there, then they spend so much in this, with the gadgets. Another challenge for the parents is the law. Most parents don't understand why they should raise up their children with laws, because many of them were never raised up with laws. And as I said, you can only give the children what you know and what you have. So it's very difficult for them when it comes to these laws to understand which law is applicable to what. And on top of that, during this difficult period, the adolescents, they know the law, and they can stand for their law, and they can tell the parents, and they can remind them of their own rights and say, Mama, I know my rights. You are not supposed to do that. For example, 14-year-old. So 14-year-old in Germany is allowed to stay outside until 10 o'clock in the night. So this kind of a child at this stage, you cannot tell them you don't come home at 10, you come home at 8. They will just say simple, yeah, but it's my right to come home at 10 o'clock. I'm not coming at 11, I'm not coming at 10:30, but I'm coming at 10 o'clock. So this kind of small, they are small things, but they cause a lot of conflicts. Yeah, they seem to be very small things, but they cause a lot of conflicts. Because, for example, a mother told me that she cannot allow her daughter to come home at 10 o'clock, although she's 14 and a half, because it's dark. And she is only giving what she has. I remember myself, when I grew up, at 7 o'clock it was dark, and I had to be home. So another thing, you cannot force them to do anything. The force, we can just forget it. And for many parents out there, the word force I would really advise you to take it out of your mind, because in these countries there's nothing, especially at this stage, the force doesn't work. If you try to push it, then you will burn your finger badly. That in the end it's not going to be fun for you, or you're going to destroy the relationship between you and that growing young person, because they understand these things totally different with the way we or you, the parents, you understand these things. And they need communication. They don't need force. You can agree and disagree, and they are okay with it. They can argue and argue and argue for hours with you, and they're okay with it. But you should not try to force them, because they are not going to be okay with it. They will be ready to fight for their rights, because they have learned it and they can articulate. They are not. They are not afraid of anything. Thank you for watching. In my next video, I will be talking about the strategies on how to minimize the conflicts during puberty, and I will also be talking about the strategies on how the parents can minimize the conflicts, not to prevent. Preventing the conflicts is not possible, but how to minimize them, that they are not so extreme, or they don't make the adolescents sad, and because the environment which is happy is very important at this stage. Thank you, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.